Hello everyone, in today's video we're going to be talking about D&D's virtual tabletop and Hasbro along with Wizards of the Coast today, and we are going to be on pcgamer. The article will be linked down in the description if you want to check it out for yourself. The title goes, "It's not looking good for D&D's virtual tabletop sigil, as Hasbro follows a quiet release by reportedly laying off 90% of the people working on it. Not a great sign." Yeah, I love D&D, but I really wasn't excited for this virtual tabletop because it was fully 3D, and while that's cool, it would be super cumbersome in my opinion to actually use for online D&D games. It's cool and looks good, but I think it would just be more of a hassle to use. And for their side, it's going to be so much more expensive to like build and maintain something like that. And unfortunately, it looks like Hasbro agrees with me, but because the way you'd monetize this thing, I just don't think would work. And it feels really weird that they decided to go full 3D and with Sigil, their virtual tabletop. And it's just unfortunate because D&D has D&D Beyond. And I feel like just having a regular virtual tabletop integrated with D&D Beyond and just constantly updating that would have been so much more better use of time and money, but we'll see where it goes in the future, I guess. Just before we get into the article, I'd like to remind everyone, please subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate it. We're trying to hit 1,000 subscribers. Like the video if you like it, dislike it if you dislike it, and if you want to check out something else I also do a podcast called Two Buds in One Podcast on the channel if you'd like to check that out as well. Hasbro's stab at a virtual tabletop, a VTT, looks to be in deep trouble as over 30 developers working on it have reportedly been laid off. Dubbed Sigil, D&D's virtual tabletop released in a bit of an unfinished state, one I was a little harsh on. It shows promise and I have a good time with the map creator, but I couldn't picture myself running a game in it. Surprisingly high system requirements, some wobbly integration, and over-reliance on D&D Beyond made it feel too niche when compared to other, more straightforward virtual tabletop offerings. And I think honestly that's the biggest problem with this Sigil, with this virtual tabletop that they created, is that it's not easy to use. I can understand their over-reliance on D&D Beyond because, you know, it's Wizards of the Coast, they own D&D Beyond. But if it was just a 2D thing that you could buy stuff, you could either buy things or make your own on D&D Beyond, I think that'd be so much more easier to integrate with a 2D platform rather than a full 3D with environmental and models and stuff, because it's just too much for people to do, because D&D has a problem of being a GM is very intimidating. And even with just the basic pen and paper game, when you're not doing it online or anything, it's just theater of the mind style stuff, people are still intimidated with being a GM. And when you add on knowing all the rules, reading all the rules, knowing what to do, being able to improvise, and then learning a program and with all on top of that, it's just too much. And they really should have realized this. I don't know why they didn't. Like, I like to believe that they're smarter than this, but I wonder if this was Hasbro's doing or not in terms of pushing it, but I'm not entirely sure. I mean, it looks like they're pushing back, so who knows at this point. Judging by the speed of which Hasbro apparently hit the eject button on this thing, may not have been alone. Andy Collins, a former senior writer at Wizards of the Coast, made a post to LinkedIn that reads as the following: "Today, approximately 30 talented developers, 90% of the team, were laid off from the Sigil virtual tabletop team at Wizards of the Coast, including yours truly. I'm disappointed that we didn't get to continue working towards the full experience that we imagined, but happy for the opportunity to work on an intriguing challenge with so many smart and dedicated folks. I wish my former colleagues success in their future endeavors. I'll also be pulling for the crew left behind who will do their best to keep improving and iterating the experience we shipped last month." No, while I do agree that they will try, there's no way they're expecting to still be supporting this thing. They're probably going to be put on different projects, because I think this thing is just being let out to die, because it's just cost too much money. It costs too much money to continue something like this, with it being fully 3D and with the effects and all that type of stuff. It's like I said earlier, I'm just so confused why D&D Beyond just didn't do a 2D one, because they have a 2D virtual tabletop, but it's, in my opinion, it's not very good. Like, it's very difficult to use. Its controls are weird because there's not a lot of people working on it. So if you put your money into something that people would actually use, more likely than using this once because it's cool and interesting, and then realizing it's so much more of a hassle to do this. Because one of the biggest problems with D&D online, especially D&D in general as well, is that you need 3 to 4 people to be able to play at the same time, and the longer it takes to set up stuff and learn stuff, the more likely it is for most of the time playing D&D is spent setting it up, and that's just annoying. Or you're playing the game and you have to figure out controls and stuff like that and people just don't want that. So that's why they're going to go back to things like Roll20 and stuff like that. And like in the world where Wizards of the Coast owns D&D Beyond and you can just do so much with a 2D virtual tabletop, I can't believe things like Roll20 are actually beating you, because you should be dominating this space. Like, I don't like monopolies and stuff like that, so obviously there needs to be competition, but you should be number one. But unfortunately, D&D Beyond is basically just a Wikipedia page at this point. There's some cool things you can do with it, but like for the most part, it's mostly just a Wikipedia page at this point. And you could be doing so much more with it, which is just why I'm just so surprised that they don't have a fully fledged virtual tabletop integrated with it. Instead, they made this 3D thing that isn't going to be used by, like, people are going to use it once and then move on. That's a downright bleak number of layoffs, leaving what is most likely a skeleton crew. Cullen's percentage might not be exact, mind, but if 30 developers working on Sigil and Cullen says 90% were laid off, that leaves around 3 or 4 people on the team at best. Yeah, given the wobbly state of the VTT is actually in, that doesn't give me a lot of hope for the future. I've contacted Wizards for a statement or some exact numbers, and I'll update this article if I get a response. Okay. And listen, I wasn't too optimistic about Sigil. I personally felt that all the problems it was trying to solve have been sorted by more accessible, cheaper, and all more module programs like Foundry. More to the point, trying to turn TTRPG gaming into a glossary monetizable force of brand recognition just doesn't work. Yeah, it's just, yeah, like Foundry or Roll20, it's like there's just better things to use, and it's just weird. Just doesn't work. D&D's under monetized, not because people haven't had the bright idea to plonk microtransactions in it, but because doing so is antithetically to the whole bloody exercise. And also, in my opinion, you're trying to monetize the wrong things. Like, it's under monetized because you aren't selling a lot of things. Like, where are all the books that you're trying to sell? Where's the like integrated merchandise to sell? Where's the figurines that you want to sell? Like, why are there so many third-party companies that are beating Wizards of the Coast at their own, what they should be selling? I'm not saying these third-party companies shouldn't exist or shouldn't be alternatives, but why isn't Wizards of the Coast selling figures, like D&D figures? Why aren't they selling the cards? Why aren't they selling the books? Like, or they are selling the books, but they're not doing it enough. Like, why aren't they making more adventures? Why aren't they fleshing out the D&D world? Because like, it's just so weird to me that, like, I don't like the thing of being under monetized, because it is not under monetized. Like, it's not just the problem with under monetized is that they're trying to monetize the wrong things. If we look into this video, this is the video of like the demonstration. Like, this looks like an amazing model. Why aren't you selling this? Or like, why isn't this a physical model that you're selling? And if they are, how come me being a person that is super into D&D and knows a lot about D&D, how do I not know that you're selling these things? Like it's cool that it's super integrated and stuff like that, but like, this is just too much. This is too much. If this was just a simple flat screen, like look how much work went into this. Like, this is insane. This is an insane amount of work and detail. And it's just not, honestly, in my opinion, and I'd hate to say it to the developers, it's a waste of their time, because like a fraction of the people are going to be using this. They're just going to go to Foundry or Roll20. So I just feel like it's just such a wasted opportunity. And I obviously don't have the full numbers, but like, I feel like they could have used this resources on something more interesting, or building these for physical things, like the physical models or the physical backdrops. Like, I know there's a tons of DMs that really want, or tons of players that really enjoy stuff like this, but they don't want to make it themselves. So why aren't you selling stuff like this? You know, for physical editions? Because this tabletop stuff, this virtual tabletop stuff, I feel like most people aren't going to bother with, because it's going to be annoying to use, and it's a different audience. You're not selling video game microtransactions. You know, it's a different audience. These people like physical things. You know, I mean, it's D&D. Everyone's old school. It's an older audience. So physical things, I think, will sell better. Like, I'm totally cool with them selling figures like this. That'd be really cool. And like, I don't know. It's just so weird to me that they, out of all the things they try to monetize, it's this. Or maybe it's because of lack of monetization. Who knows? The thing that infuriates here is that hitting said eject button, Hasbros and Wizards have now left plenty of talented developers, writers, and designers out of a job. Take Collins, for example, who worked on Wizards of the Coast for 14 years, leaving in in 2010, then returning in 2024 to work on Project Sigil, before being so unceremoniously shown the door barely a year later. Really, we don't want to keep senior talent like that around. Yeah, I mean, my biggest problem with this is that not only were these people let go, they were working on something that wasn't going to work. Like, it's like I said before, I don't think this was a good idea, and the fact that they're doing the worst out of all the options because they decided on something that's going to be extremely expensive and time consuming to make, and then not even 25% way there, they cut the plug. So they just spent so much money and so much time on doing something that's useless. Like, if you're going to do something like this, you need to be able to go all the way through with it. And they just picked the worst option out of all of them, because the thing is, even though I've been complaining a lot, this does have a lot of potential and you could turn this into something amazing. But the problem is that's going to take a long time, and it looks like they didn't have the stomach for that for some reason. Even though they went into this, I feel like you should be going into this knowing how long this is going to take. This is going to be multiple years. This is going to be like a 3 to 4 year project at least, in my opinion. And apparently they just didn't realize, and this is like a huge failure of management or a failure of the development team to properly express how long this was going to take, or them not realizing how long this was going to take. So yeah, it's just such a bad thing. When I roll my eyes at Hasbro's thirst for things like adapting the worst habits of video game marketing, or the company's CEO raving about AI, yeah, that's not a good sign. It's with an understanding that this sort of speculation and monetization first nonsense is going to cause, well, stuff like this to happen. As well, the case with the layoffs that scuppered most of the team responsible for making the Baldur's Gate 3 deal happen. Feels like we're stuck in a time loop where Wizards and Hasbro's are pushing out people with talent to foot the bill for bad ideas. Good thing that'll ever happen in the digital gaming industry, right? Yeah, that's already happening in the digital gaming industry. The fact that Baldur's Gate 3 was such an amazing game was in spite of Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast, not because of it. So, and it's why I'm so glad that Larian Studio was like not bought by Wizards of the Coast or anything, or Hasbro. Like, they just made the deal, they made the game, and then they moved on. And they're still working on the game. I think they're patch 8 or something like that's coming out at some point. But like, I feel so worried about the next thing D&D is going to be doing, because I mean, this was supposed to be the next thing and it's already failed. And in terms of video games, I feel anyone who's making another D&D video game, I feel so bad for you, because you have to follow up Baldur's Gate 3, and no matter what type of game you're making, you're going to be compared to it, and everyone's just going to say it's not as good, because it's probably not going to be. And that's not fair to whoever's making the next D&D video game, because also you're also going to have all these dumb people in management trying to push stuff like this. And I do feel like there are good things, the ways you can do a D&D video game that makes more money in the eyes of executives, but there's no way that's actually going to happen, because it takes too much money upfront cost to do it. So yeah, I'm just very sad about D&D in its current form. Luckily for actual D&D players, you can just, ignore everything, and if you own the books, you own the books, and they can never take that away from you. So you can just keep playing and keep making stuff, homebrew some stuff if you need to. That's the best thing about D&D, is you don't actually need Hasbro or Wizards of the Coast to do anything once you buy the books. And it's why it's, in my opinion, such a interesting problem of an under monetized thing. And it's just something that, like, you're never going to do this with the current tactics they're doing. It's not going to work, so they need to change something. But I don't think the executives at Hasbro are going to understand how D&D makes money, because you sell books, you sell adventure books, and you sell the rule books, and then you sell things around that, like the expanding books, the extended rules, and then you can sell merchandise based off of it. And I just feel like it's so weird that they don't really do that. And I don't know, it's just so strange to me that they haven't really tried that, at least that I haven't seen, because what they're doing, in my opinion, isn't working. And I do want D&D to exist past the stuff that we already have, and I have a fear that it's not going to be, because they somehow need to make tons and tons of money in the eyes of Hasbro, and it's just not going to happen. I'm hoping Hasbro just sells off Wizards of the Coast or something like that, but then again, Hasbro basically makes no money other than Wizards of the Coast, so I doubt they're ever going to do that. Who knows? Who knows? Anyway, thank you everyone for watching today's video. I really appreciate it. Remember to subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate it if you do. We're trying to hit 1,000 subscribers, and once we do, I'll be doing a Q&A video. Like the video if you liked it. Dislike it if you dislike it. I understand. Comment down below what you guys think about this whole Hasbro Wizards virtual tabletop situation. If you'd like to follow me on other places, I stream on Twitch. I do have a Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, and Threads on social media, all on the Techno Jelly. Thank you for watching, everyone, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye, everyone.